So, welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success story series of interviews, where we discuss with local business leaders their backgrounds, their successes, and their challenges, and what's really driving them forwards. And this afternoon, I'm delighted to have with us Janet Bebb, who's director at Social Progress. So, firstly, Janet, thank you for spending a bit of time with us. And if you'd like to introduce yourself, Social Progress, what you do, how you help people, that would be wonderful.
No worries. Yeah, thanks, Chris. Thanks for inviting me on. I'm Janet Bebb, Social Progress. We're based in Honley in Home Firth. We've been around for just over 13 years now, and we at the moment we offer social media training. Primarily, that's me that does the training. We also offer social media account management. We build websites. We do a little bit of graphic design. I guess what we do in the main is look after other people's social media on their behalf when they either don't have the wherewithal to do it or they've no desire, let's say. So every business is different.
Yeah.
And we might have some businesses that they kind of have somebody within the business that has they want to understand how to use social media and how to make it work,
Yes.
but they're not always sure how to make it work.
Yes.
And generally speaking, we can kind of look at it and go, yeah, we kind of know what you're not doing right.
Yes.
And so we offer, it might be either one-to-one training, one-to-two training. We might offer group training to a member organisation, or sometimes it's in one organisation. There might be one or two people that are responsible for the social media, but they're struggling to get the rest of the business to understand how social media can help them
Yeah.
with their just getting their message across
Yeah.
in a digital world, let's say. So those are the primary things that we do. And as I say, we do build websites as well for businesses. So it's something that we've kind of got into as the more we progressed, the more we've got into that. We also do some social advertising. So we know what we're good at. We
Yeah.
also know what we're not good at, and we don't take on board the
Great.
things that we're not good at. But we do have a number of partners that we kind of go speak to this person because actually they're the expert in that field. It's
Brilliant.
not our bag, but we know somebody who can help with that.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, I mean, and what a valuable service, because I think there's lots of great businesses and business people out there that uh, you know that don't have the presence that they should have. I guess if we did do these videos, we probably wouldn't. I certainly wouldn't be doing as much as I could. And but have great services, give great offerings to the public. But if nobody knows about it, they're not going to get any clients.
Exactly. And that's the thing that we've said often with people is like, you have to be in it to win it.
Yep.
If you're not there, nobody's going to kind of go, oh, well, let me just look you up. If they can't find you straight away,
Yep.
they're not going to refer you on to other people. And I think sometimes people forget it's not just about the person who's looking for that service, but all the other people that are in your network that potentially can put you in front of somebody. But if you're not there, they're definitely not going to go to all the effort of, oh, let me find your website, let me find your contact details. They're just
Fabulous.
not going to do it. So
Fabulous.
it's one of those you have to be there whether you like it or not. It's just part of today's world, let's say.
Completely
Um,
agree.
yeah.
Completely agree. So if we sort of start at the beginning, as they say, what if we tell us a little bit more about your background, Janet, how you got into business and why this particular one for you?
Yeah, sure. So it's one that I get asked quite a lot. I know we're on a podcast, so you can't see my face, but I'm no spring chicken. I'll tell you quite honestly, I'm 64. I started my business when I was 51. I'd never had a business before. Um, but it's really interesting because I feel like I've come home.
Well,
Spent 27 years working in a bank, so a lot of it was customer service based, just customer centric.
yep.
Everything that we looked at was looking at how it impacted the customer. I had a role there called change manager, so I managed a number of branches. I got made redundant from that in 2004, 2005. Went to work for well, I was actually going to set up as a training provision at that point. But then a friend of mine said, "How much do you know about running your own business?" Like, nothing. How much do you know about, setting up training packages? Nothing. Okay, do you not think it might be a good idea to go and work for a training provider, get some knowledge, and then maybe in a couple of years do that? Like, yeah, okay, that sounds good.
Brilliant.
That's what I did. Went to work for a training provider. I was sold that it would be kind of 80%, 90% of stand-up training and 10, 20% of MVQ assessing.
Yeah.
Turned out to be the other way around. It
Right.
was 80%, 90% of sitting at a desk and reading somebody's portfolio. I'm dyslexic, Chris, so reading and writing is not, I'm good at talking, but when it comes to reading
Brilliant.
and writing notes, it's not my strong point. And so whilst I did it, it wasn't really something that floated my boat. My line manager at the time, I was only there for about 18 months. She left and went to work for something called Train to Gain, which
Yeah.
you may not remember, but Train to Gain was a government initiative to upskill the workforce.
Yes.
Um, and so she said, "Oh, this is a job, you need to apply for it." I trusted her, I applied, I got the job. It's all open, proper interview. She didn't interview, it was somebody else that interviewed me. And my role was to go out to care provision and day nurseries right across the north of England, so right across the Yorkshire and Humber region. And I would do skills gap analysis and find out what training they needed, and then go back with funding or just see how we could get something in place to get them to the next level. Now
Yes.
that service got taken into BusinessLink,
Yes.
and therefore with that they had to take the staff. So I'm then working at BusinessLink, going out to see businesses, having never had my own business, and I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm not qualified to do this. Why have
Yeah.
you put me in this position? And I remember saying to my line manager, who we met before we actually started working there, and I said, "You've got the wrong person. I'm not the right person for this." And I'm like, "Janet, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine." And I'm like, how can I go into a business and work with a business when I don't know what that business, how they operate, and
Yeah.
it just completely fazed me. But when I did get into post, I was very fortunate actually. He was a great mentor, and I would go out and see a business. I'd come back. So tell me about it. How did you go on? What are you thinking? What's your action plan for that? And so I would go through that, and they were like, "Why are you going to do that, Janet? Why are you not going to do this first?" So it's great at just questioning what I was going to do.
Yep.
So that was great. And then you're probably aware, Chris, that BusinessLink got closed down in November 2011. A
Goodness.
long time
That long
ago.
ago. Goodness.
Yeah. So I'd started using LinkedIn just prior to that to build my network, to find
Yep.
people that, although I'm going out to see businesses, I quickly realized I didn't need to have all the answers. I just need to have a group of people that
Yeah.
I could go speak to this person. This
Brilliant.
is the expert at that. These are
Brilliant.
three people that you potentially want to speak to.
Yep.
So that actually built my network, and I'd started using LinkedIn to kind of grow that really. So LinkedIn was the first platform that I used.
Yep.
And then from that, it just made sense. Somebody said, I was talking to one of the presenters and said, "What are you going to do when Business Link closes?" And he said, "Oh, I don't know." I said, "Oh, there's loads of opportunities on LinkedIn." And he said, "Oh, I've got no idea how to use that." And I thought, well, I'm coming to the end of Business Link and I'm not really that busy. And he said, "Oh, well, actually, let's wait till Business Link has closed and then we'll do it then. And I'll pay you." And I'm like, okay, maybe there's something in this. So
Brilliant.
thinking about, the bank customer service,
Yep.
I'd also done psychology at night school as well in the meantime,
Brilliant.
doing the training provision, so setting up training packages, working at Business Link as a business advisor, skills broker, kind of everything fit into what I was doing there. So I thought I'll give it a go. I'll give it 6 months. If I don't make any money, I'll go back to change management, banking, something like that. And here we are, sort of 13 years on, still doing it. And the business has evolved. And the more I looked at sort of LinkedIn and looked at the other social media platforms, the more I kind of thought, this isn't, it's not rocket science. It's just about understanding some principles around it. And I still think that. And when I talk to people and we do the training, that's something that I get quite a lot. Is like, I never really thought about it in that way. So,
Brilliant.
it's those light bulb moments.
Yes, brilliant.
A really funny story was the more we started doing it, um, my son, who is now 30, was 17, 18 at the time, and everybody's saying, Alex, you really shouldn't be putting that on Facebook. And I was thinking, oh my God, what's he putting on Facebook? I better join this Facebook thing and see what he's posting. So I joined Facebook really to see what he was posting. And I sent him a friend request and he accepted it and then he blocked me. And and actually Alex now works for Social Progress and
Brilliant.
we can't unblock. There's a bug in the system. We've tried everything. We have contact with Facebook, so we have a chat with facility with Facebook because we're a Facebook partner. But even we can't unblock it. So
Well,
it's just funny really that that's kind of where it leads to. It's just one of those things that like actually it got me into it and looking at it as a platform. But it's kind of Alex that got me into that because I didn't really know what I was posting on there, but then just looked at it from a business angle really. So yeah.
brilliant. Oh, what a great story. And so you're 13 years of this business. I think your phrase use of coming home. That's wonderful. Looking back, what are some of the main challenges you've had to overcome?
As in social progress,
Yeah,
yeah, good question. I would say I think every business sets up that first year, and I talk to a lot of business about this. It's like it's hard work. That
yeah,
first year is hard work because you're working on the business and in the business.
yeah.
You're trying to get your head around all the different processes, all the different things you need to be doing, but trying to earn a living at the same time. And, I think we all learn from those mistakes, let's say. One of the things that I
Yes,
probably did wrong was um, finance is not my strong point. Don't get me wrong, I'm okay with it and I'm on top of it. I have to be on top of it because otherwise I'd feel out of control with it.
yes,
But I chose the accountant in the wrong way for the wrong reason and but quickly understood that and made a change.
yeah,
And I'm very much aware that a lot of people choose an accountant and they stick with them.
yeah.
They don't change accountants very often. When in actual fact, if they're not the right person for you, you should do something about it. So the next time I did my due diligence and I chose in a much better way, let's say. So I chose the person that I felt was the right support for me. And it wasn't always on price, it was just making
Brilliant.
sure that you're choosing the person that you feel can support you. So that's one thing that I learned, I guess, really over that time.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so important. And as you say, if we're not strong in a particular area, let's find the experts that can support us. It's this idea of strengthening our weaknesses is just hard work for no real value. When there's an
Yeah.
expert in that field that
Yeah.
would love to do that.
Yeah, and that in some respects, that's how we explain our service. We do sometimes say, it's
Yeah,
like having a bookkeeper or an accountant. You get somebody who knows what they're doing to do it well, and you crack on with the stuff that you're good at. Don't try and be doing everything because otherwise you're just going to run yourself ragged. You're not going to make the money that you should be making. Stick to what you're good at. So yeah, same sort of
absolutely.
thing for us, really. Yeah.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. Um, yeah, and I think you're aware we're a business coaching organisation, and I'm keen to know who are the best coaches you've worked with, whether that's business, sport, life in general. Who's had the biggest influence on you?
It's a good question. So when I worked in the bank, I had a really good coach. In the last role that I was in, as I said, I was a change manager,
Yes,
and my line manager. We were a team of 45 right across the UK,
right.
but it was split into four sections. And my line manager, our team was down the east coast, if you like, from Newcastle right down to Kent. And my line manager was Lincoln and in Lincoln, and they called him Rob. And he was great at understanding that. I struggled a little bit with some of the managers. I'd been a supervisor, but then I'd taken a step down because of family. And some of the managers that I had to work with had never seen me in a capacity of a supervisor. They'd seen me in a capacity of working in a call centre, just sat
Yeah,
at a desk.
yeah,
And I struggled with a couple of those because they didn't think that I was the same, or I was the same grade as them, but they didn't treat me in that same way.
right.
And I remember having one particular manager who just wouldn't he wouldn't do anything that I'd asked him to do. And spoke to Rob about it, and I said, I just can't get him to do anything. You're probably not going to like this, Chris, but he said, well, what have you tried? And I explained, and he said, well, what else could you try? I am a coach, by the way, and I'm like, Rob, please don't try and coach me. Just tell me what I need to do. And he said, okay, well, in this situation, what you probably need to do is take it away from you and take it on to the next level. So rather than you saying you need this information, you need to explain that actually it's the project team and this particular manager is holding up the rest of the
Yeah,
area.
great.
Boss, he's not providing you with the information that the rest of the area needs. And the minute I did that, I got the right result. And I was
Brilliant.
absolutely blown away that actually just turning it on its head a little bit,
Yeah.
and not being quite so, I wasn't precious about it. I didn't really care whether he listened to me or not. I just needed to find a solution, but at least I found that solution. And one of the things Rob always said to me, and I remember this in his interview, he was given a scenario of a member of the team that wasn't performing, didn't want to be there. And I said, well, what did what did you do in that scenario? He said, I helped them to get out of the organization because they weren't happy there. It's not going to work for them. It's not going to work for the organization. So,
Absolutely.
you've got to help them move to somewhere else. And I have been really fortunate, I have to say, of having some really, really lovely coaches and mentors
Brilliant.
throughout my career. I've had some not nice ones as well, some people that have been a bit power crazy and giving decisions for no apparent reason and stuff. But one of the things that I've always tried to do is, in terms of the team that I work with, I will never call them my team. They're not my team. They're people that I work with. I will never ask them to do anything that I wouldn't do myself.
Yep.
Will always do everything that they do. I'll take the bins out, I'll make them a cup of tea. We are a team. We work together as a team. It's not a case of
Yeah.
me kind of, and it does my head in when I hear people saying, oh, they do what I tell them to do. Actually, you're never going to get the best out
No,
of people,
absolutely. Couldn't
that
agree
sort of
more.
thing. So yeah, so I think it's just something that over the years I've kind of learned, to treat people with respect,
Yeah.
and by doing that, I'll get the respect back, hopefully, in most
Brilliant.
cases.
Bang on. And have you picked up any favourite quotes or sayings that you catch yourself using quite a lot?
I think one of the ones that has always resonated with me is, if it's to be, it's up to me. If
Great.
it's to be, it's up to me. At the end of the day, if you want something to happen, you've kind of got to take control of that. I don't mean to say do it all yourself. I'm
No,
not
no.
saying that. What I'm saying is, if you want it to change, you've got to make that change, and you've got to instigate that. Otherwise, it's never going to happen. So you've got to put yourself in the center of that and make it happen, basically. So, you can't control other people, you can't control other things, but you can control your own actions to that. And it's that. So if it's to be, it's up to me, is one thing
Like
that's
it.
always stuck in my head.
Like it. And do you have any favourite business books or books on business success, personal development, anything that you fall back on?
Yeah, quite a lot actually. So like I've said to you already, Chris, I'm dyslexic, so I'm not a really great reader.
Yes.
However, um, so I don't read a lot. I do read when I go on holiday, and I always take a personal development book away with me. So there's a
Great.
few that I've read over the time. Um, so there was one by Richard Branson. Screw Business as Usual is a good one.
Brilliant.
I also like, there's one called They Ask We Answer.
Yes.
And
Oh,
that's, yeah, all about SEO and getting the
it's a,
right content on your website.
it's
And
a
it's not,
great,
again, not rocket science, is it really? It's just, you know,
not at all. We've had Marcus over actually a couple of our conferences. He's a brilliant speaker as well as author of that book.
yeah. Key Person of Influence is something that I came across a number of years ago and I didn't read it. And people kept saying, "Oh, you need to read this book," and I just didn't read it. But then a friend of mine in the last sort of 6 months um, bought me the book. And I'm like, okay, I'll read that. And I read it in a week, and I was absolutely blown away that I'd read it in a week. But I really enjoyed that because again, not rocket science, but it's just looking at, how you can get the best out of your own business, about your own personality, about just connecting with people. I thought it was a lovely book actually. I really enjoyed that one. So
Brilliant.
there's a number of different ones, but it's and I recommend books to other people and stuff, but it just depends on where people are in their journey. I'm sure same for
Absolutely.
you, Chris, you've kind of got to work out which book's going to resonate with certain people for certain reasons and stuff. So
Yes, in the right way at the right time,
yeah.
100%. And what do you say you've learned about yourself on your journey so far, Janet?
It's yeah, good question. When I was younger, and I mean by that I mean probably under the age of probably about 30, 35, um, the world owed me a living. Why did I not get that promotion? Why did I not get that piece of work? Why is it somebody else that's got it? Why is it not me? And actually at that time I did read quite a lot of books, and the books that I read actually were the things that turned my thinking round from it being quite a negative thinking to a positive thinking. And for me, I think we do have choices. We can choose how we, you know, go about things and how we think about things. And I would say from that point on, I mean, it's not overnight, you don't do it overnight, but just by being mindful of my own sort of inner voice and also outwardly how I was communicating with other people,
Yep.
um, I could see a change in that. So that
Right.
changed me, definitely so. That's about when I was about 38 or something that happened really. And it's just like ever since then. I always try and look for the positive and stuff, rather than seeing things in a negative way, because there is always a positive in everything that you
Absolutely.
do. There's a positive, even when you feel that it's the most negative thing,
Yep.
there is still some positive in there. So I would say that that's the biggest shift for me. And when
Brilliant.
I look at other people that are, maybe pulling themselves down, not got enough confidence, a bit, self-destructive, let's say, you know, I try and get them to think about, just changing that mindset and that inner language. And, there is positives out there. It might only be a small bit, but there's positives. So,
Brilliant.
yeah.
Bang on. And looking forward then, what does the future look like for social progress and what challenges do you think you might face, if any?
Well, it's been an interesting, that's a good question because it's like over the last couple of years, and I've talked to a lot of businesses and quite a few this week actually, where, I've had a few people saying to me, what's your year been like and how's business and that kind of thing. And I think for a lot of businesses, not just us, it's been an unsteady period. I
Yeah.
won't say we've struggled because we haven't, but it's been unsteady. We've grown, we've shrunk, we've grown, we've shrunk, so
Yeah.
all of that. At the moment, the last couple of months, we've seen quite a nice increase in stuff. We've had a few
Brilliant.
inquiries, we've got a few coming forward and possibly, they'll get going in 2025. As I've already said to you, Chris, I'm 64. I don't intend to retire. I don't intend to not work. I want to keep my brain active. But
Yep.
what I do want to do is maybe cut down to potentially
Yeah.
4 days a week next year, and then ultimately 3 days a week.
Brilliant.
But with my son being in the business anyway, he can then kind of move forward with it, and we'll just see how that goes. So, I think for me, it's that what I love about having my own business is having that flexibility to be able to
Yeah.
go. I'm not going to work as many hours,
Yeah, absolutely.
and that kind of thing. And just having that freedom to
Yeah,
make those choices and stuff. So this year's not gone as planned. I was supposed to do it this year, but it just didn't go as planned. But you just have to reset it and stuff. So that's
go again.
where we go. I don't think, I can't see social progress changing dramatically from what we are. We're quite happy with the way we are. We might grow to another couple of team members, but not much more than that. I don't think, maybe maximum five, and we're happy with that really. So
Brilliant.
we've got no plans to be some big conglomerate or anything like that. I just think then you lose a bit of the personality of the business,
Yeah,
and we're very much keen to make sure that our ethos, our values are paramount to what we do.
yeah.
And I think as you grow, sometimes you can lose a little bit of that sort of thing. So yeah,
Yeah, I think the key trick to not doing that is that the owners and directors have to be the champions of the culture and the
yeah,
system. And if we are, then and the culture being the reason we grow.
yeah,
It's not despite it, it's because of it.
yeah,
So I totally understand that. And there's plenty of examples where culture has changed, but then there are also plenty of examples where the culture stayed the same and success has happened. But it's whatever we all want. That's the key thing. And the beauty of owning a business is we get to choose exactly how it is.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's the downside is the book. I always say is the book stops with us until we've
yeah,
got somebody else for whom the book stops. That's another part of growing a business,
yeah,
but we get to choose. So
yeah.
I think that's wonderful. And speaking of that, I'm keen to know what you say to anyone that was thinking of going into business right now, Janet.
I get a lot of people that are uh, put in touch with me, let's say. So I get a lot of referrals, but some of it is not just for the social media side of things, and I'm totally fine with this. Um, People will say, "Oh, speak to Janet," and when I talk to somebody, I'm not specifically looking at as a client. I'm more looking at where are they right now, what do they need, and
Yeah,
sometimes, I will actually say to people when they're starting out in business, right, well, we could support you, but actually there's this funding, there's this program, there's this, go and have a look at that. And then when you've done that and you still need some more support, then come back and talk to us.
yeah, great,
So, I think the one thing I know, you've interviewed Georgie, I think, and Georgie was a great support for me when I first started out. I knew Georgie when I worked at Business Link.
brilliant.
And she may have said the same thing. I don't know whether she did or not, but we had a group of people, six people in our group, and that was brilliant for us because we were all in business in some way, all different businesses. We were all actually coaches, which I think does help, because I think knowing those coaching principles really helps,
Yeah,
and but all in different disciplines and stuff. But having those other five people around me, and I would say that every single one of those would agree, it was just brilliant to have
right.
different people that you could talk to. And we were all very different. So, you might come with a challenge that's happened in the week, and somebody would be really grounded and say, well, actually, all you need to do is this, and this. And we go, oh, yes, I do.
Yeah,
And somebody else might be, you might feel a little bit sort of off put by something, and somebody will, well, why do you feel that way? So it's great because we just could kind of touch base with each other and make sure that we got a different opinion of stuff. So I would say to anybody starting out in business, find those people around you that are going to be your support network because it's invaluable. You're not on your own, and I think it can feel very lonely when you start out in business, but
yeah,
it doesn't need to be. If
yeah,
you reach out to the right people and find the right people around you,
yeah.
it can be really, really helpful. It's just finding
Absolutely.
those right people.
Absolutely. And there's always people out there willing to help. That's the thing I've
Yeah,
always found. You know, people like to help other people. So I
Yeah.
think that thing that holds people back is asking and thinking that it won't, but that they definitely
Yeah.
do. And finally, Jenny, what would be the best advice you could give an 18-year-old you if you could go back in time and do that?
Um, for me, I know that this might sound a bit of a strange one, really, because a lot of people go, "Oh, just tell them to do it, just get on with it." Um, no, if I'm honest, when I think back on my own journey, I couldn't do what I do now when I was 18. I couldn't.
Yep.
It didn't exist for a start off,
Yep. Yeah.
but I've already said that actually everything that I did before, working in customer service, working in business support, as a training provider, doing psychology on night at night school because I wanted to do it, all of those things fit into what I do now.
Yep.
I could not have done what I do now at 18. I wouldn't have had the knowledge, I wouldn't have had the experience. And I just think sometimes we have to kind of go, right, well, what do I like doing? I'm going to do something that I like doing, and I'm going to learn from that. And I might not know where I want to be, and I might not know where I need to go. I didn't when I joined the bank. I just joined the bank, but I
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
really know where I needed to be or what I want to do. And if I'm honest, if they hadn't made me redundant, I'd probably still be there. So they did me the biggest favour, and I think sometimes we
Yes.
we kind of see it as a negative, and it's not always a negative.
No,
It
I
it
agree.
makes you make some choices. So I would say, as an 18-year-old, go find something that you really enjoy doing and do it, and then learn from it, and
Brilliant.
then figure out what you like doing and what you don't like doing, and develop from there, really.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Very, very sound advice. I think for anybody. And Jan, it's been delightful talking and very insightful as well this afternoon. So thank you so much for your time. And for anyone that would like to get in touch with you or Social Progress, what's the best way to do that?
So obviously we're on social media, would you believe? On all the social media platforms. And we've got our website, www.socialprogress.co.uk. If you email us, our email address is on the website, but it's info@socialprogress.co.uk. And obviously you could telephone us if you want to actually pick up the phone and speak to somebody. A lot of people don't seem to want to do that these
No,
days. You
not so
can
much.
still do that. But yeah, just maybe follow us or look us up on social media. There's so many ways that you can contact people these days.
Yes.
It can sometimes feel a bit of a minefield because you kind of forget where people have contacted you as well, really. So, but yeah, just look up Social Progress and you'll find us basically. So yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, thank you so, as I say, thank you so much for your time today. And it'd be great to swim back in another 6, 12 months and just see the next stages of what's going on.
Yeah, thanks, Chris, and thanks for asking me to be on the podcast. That's great.
Thank you. You're very welcome.